Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. Wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala hadiya lahu. Man yudlil fala hadiya lahu. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Alhamdulillah. All praise is due to Allah. We thank Him for the blessing, another day at Jumu'ah, where your slate can be clean for the week. We come to reflect on the balance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has established. Mizan. And Allah clearly defined what our purpose is. The real objective of man's creation. And He says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ. And the Quran clearly lays down the object of creation of man in these words that I just recited to you. He says, I have only created jinn and men that they may worship me. In simple words, there is a serious purpose behind man's creation. So what are we striving for? We're striving for the balance. And it's also this, that man should acquaint himself with Allah's laws and way through the teachings of the Messenger. In fact, it will help them to make progress towards him by developing and growing their inner self. The key to our progress towards him is obeying him, obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by putting ourselves in accord with his will, yielding our will to his divine laws, to his will, and keeping our inclinations in accordance with what the prophets brought. Whatever he commands, and abstaining from whatever he forbids. And this attitude on our part will benefit us by making us grow and develop in spiritual goodness. For he, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is all goodness, beauty, and mercy. There's also a hint that working in accord with Allah's will is in the nature of man. It's in our nature. And that by doing so, he will in fact fulfill the demand of his own nature, as the rest of creation does. The only difference is that the physical world is bound by law. While man, you don't find a cow being born and at some point it changes over and becomes a horse. No. So it's already, animals live in a proper world. They cannot deviate from what they were created to be, but we can. So man is free and has the choice to turn away from his nature and thereby damage it, however, it's in his own interest to work in line with his nature and also win the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are many similar verses in the Quran which incite man to come to him and follow his way and live in accordance with his will for his own good and benefit. It is Allah who is my Lord and your Lord, then worship, obey him. And this is a way that is straight. And you can read it in Surah 3, Ayat 51. And that is Allah, your Lord. There is no God but he, the creator of all things. then worship, obey him. And he has power to dispose of all affairs. And this is what we understand this. I'm sure you understand this. Allah is in control of all affairs. So verily your Lord is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days and is firmly established on the throne of authority, regulating and governing all affairs. No intercessor can plead with him except after his permission has been obtained. And this is your Lord, him, therefore worship, obey you. Will you not receive admonition? Then seek ye the sustenance from Allah and worship, obey him. To him will be your return. And these verses of the Quran emphasize that Allah is your Lord, the creator and sovereign, and that the entire universe obeys his laws. So it's therefore proper and right that you should also be in accordance. And with this conformity, conforming to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's a pattern. By willingly submitting to the call of your own nature, by doing so, the pattern, you will yourself gain in goodness and in excellence. It will improve your humanity. I bear witness. It will raise your level of spirituality and your spiritual understanding. It will hasten your individual growth and development and bring you closer to your Lord. In practical terms, it will assist and help you in fulfilling your collective responsibility. Your nearness to Allah will disclose many hidden secrets of his spiritual reality to you, and you will clearly feel and comprehend the essence of the Unitarian principle. It will enlighten you more and more about the practical significance and the principles of equality, solidarity, and freedom, and you will be able to translate its practical implications. In Surah Hadith, it refers to the most practical way of achieving this object, of establishing the effect of taqwa, the effect of tawheed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we sent before our messengers with clear signs and sent down with them the book and the balance, the mizan of right and wrong, two patterns. That men may stand forth in justice. And you can read this in the Quran in Surah 57. And this is emphasized in another context in Surah Al-Rahman. In these words, the sun and the moon follow courses exactly computed. And the stars and the trees all bow down in adoration. And he raised the heaven on high and set up the balance, the mizan, the justice. And therefore, do not upset the balance. And alhamdulillah, this is why we're here. This is a step toward seeking to maintain your focus along that elevating path through which your upright human nature can ascend to its ultimate perfection. And these verses call to mankind to look and observe the working of the universe around him. How it works smoothly, without any friction or conflict, because of the absolute mizan, absolute balance between its various elements and components. In the solar system, each element working in accord with its nature in a perfectly balanced way, determined by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mankind is then told to set up a balance in his life system. So that human beings may also enjoy perfect stability and security in their world. And Surah Al-Hadid explains the nature of this balance in these particular terms, which is to establish perfect justice and equality amongst all people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala established the entire system of the universe on the basis of justice and what? Equity. Justice and equity. As you are living in a balanced universe whose entire system has been established on what? On justice. It's quite reasonable and logical that you should also follow the principles of justice in your life system. Alhamdulillah. And this will enable you to enjoy the fruit of this balance in the form of peace, security, stability. But if you act unjustly within the sphere in which you have been given authority, you will indeed be rebelling against the nature of the universe. There's signs. And you often hear me speak about the stages of growth and development. As Allah laid out the plan for you to go through these stages of growth and development. It started out as a sperm drop, and then from there to a congealed clot, and then to a fetus lump, then bones covered by flesh. And now here you are, and alhamdulillah that you're here, because you're on your way, and we have something that we're striving for. So we want to strive, see and seek to keep that mizan, that balance. One will indeed be rebelling against the nature of the universe by giving themselves over to the lower nafs. The lower nafs, I won't expound on it at this point, but the lower nafs can take you into something totally evil. And you will be disturbing the natural balance of life in your sphere when you give yourself over to these lower drives. And it will only damage your own life system by creating mutual conflict and friction. And this again shows that in the final analysis, it is the spiritual realization on a dynamic level on the part of man that can help him in better understanding the meaning and significance of taqwa. Consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And its practical implications. Human life and the meaning of ibadah, obedience. Obedience in this context with reference to the individual and collective duty and responsibility. And there's absolutely no doubt that the proper understanding of the complexity of life in this world with reference to the Creator and Sovereign makes man more responsible and conscious of his duties. And this is what establishes a good exchange in your interaction with people. Thus, it helps to fulfill the responsibilities and not toward his fellow man and within his own heart and mind. So as our relationship with the Creator becomes more intimate and conscious, he becomes stronger. I bear witness. I made a very serious conscious effort to make my prayers on time, to get up early in the morning. Father was coming in at 4. And I can tell you It changes your life. It changes. Once you become consistent in doing this, you feel it. And establishing your relationship with your Lord, so many things happen. And all you can say is Alhamdulillah. All day long, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Because Allah has favored you. So this is what we want to hold on to. Alhamdulillah. The word mizan, balance, and gifts remind people of the great importance of guarding the sanctity of mutual relationships, and that any infringement of other people's rights is a grave sin in the sight of Allah, and a crime in the law of Islam. It also reminds man of the need to have regard for other people's rights and of the sanctity and equality of human rights. And this necessitates setting up equality of opportunity in education. We have to step to our young people. And I was told that here, there's no young people. And my response was, if you have elders, these beautiful sisters here, that come here week after week, I call them front line sisters. They have children, grandchildren, like my grandmother. She used to say things to me. I was very young, but she said things to me that stuck with me. And one thing she said, she was telling somebody, or she told somebody, or she heard, she said, I may not be better than you, but I'm just as good. This is what we want to get across. These values we want to get across to our young children. We want to guide them. There's no guarantee that they will even embrace what you say. But at least you've done your part. You made the message public and clear. And inshallah, what you say will take root. We gotta protect our young as much as we can. So this, in simple words, is called doing good work. Amal Salih. Conduct of the Prophet described in these words in the Quran. You stand at the highest level of character and sublime way of life. You can read this in Surah 68. Every action that destroys relations corrupts society through excess, causes injustice, transgression against other people's rights and privileges, especially by ignoring the rights of the weak, the helpless, and the destitute. Those who are unable to protect their rights. In a wider context, the true spirit, all forms ibadah, which is the source and foundation of all good. It is just and it's a very pious action. People who are engaged in ibadah, but neither understand its meaning nor comprehend its purpose, they fail to acquire taqwa and rarely perform any good and virtuous deeds consciously. It is therefore vital to understand the real spirit of ibadah in order fully to grasp the significance of good deeds in the relationship of taqwa. Ibadah is, in fact, prescribed for man to enable him to understand the practical implications of Tawheed, so that he may be able to improve and develop his personality through contact with the perfect being who is the true reality behind all the complex workings of this world, and thereby attain taqwa. And this will enable him to comprehend in practical ways the essence of Tawheed. And in this context, improve his self. It will also assist him in bringing its practical benefits into society. In the form of justice, equality, freedom, and goodness. Let's ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us a good life here in this life and in the hereafter, and protect us from the torment of the grave. So when we focus on the whole of the universe, all of this is connected. And all its systems and elements strictly follow the law of nature that was prescribed to them. And as I mentioned, you don't see an animal. I use the example of a calf. At some point in its process of growth and development, it switches over and becomes a horse. No, they live in a proper world and they cannot deviate from what they were created to be. But we can. We can give ourselves over to some weak desires. We can give ourselves over to a host of appetites that take us away from taqwa. In fact, we can act like some of the animals. We can move along those lines with our actions and deeds. And as I mentioned in Surah Al-Rahman, that the sun and moon follow courses exactly computed. You don't deviate. This is a clear sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is working. Allah is in control of all of these things. And this is what we have to hold on to. And you'll find relief and as I mentioned, man, on the other hand, is free to act as he pleases. He's given freedom of choice in his actions and not forced to obey the laws of the Creator. As are inanimate things in the physical world. However, he is advised for his own benefit. He is advised for his own benefit to follow the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the rest of the world does. If he wants to maintain stability, security, and order in his life system, he is advised to obey the code of law of Allah for his own good. A chain of messengers was sent to people, every nation, in every age, to teach them to adopt the law's way of life. And do it of your own free will. And will earn a reward from their Creator for their good actions in obedience to the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Surah Al-Rahman also reminds mankind to obey their Lord and commands the way of goodness and justice to them. He has raised the heavens high and has set up the balance of justice, and therefore do not upset the balance. This is what we want to convey to our youth. Give them that information. Let them hear that, because it will help in their life. Because the entire system of the universe is based on justice by the Creator. And as man is living in a balanced universe where every system is established on the principles of justice, he should conform to this balanced way of life. If he were to go against the system, in his own sphere of influence, he would surely be working against the nature of the universe. No telling what's coming your way when you're in that light or in that darkness. He's therefore advised for his own welfare to adopt justice and righteous ways of life, like the rest of the universe, and refrain from the aggression and wickedness. In view of the diverse implications of moral responsibility resulting from the human right of freedom of choice, Allah promises continuous guidance. It's no joke, no fluke. This is real. This is the Creator. And if he says he's going to extend guidance to you, it's coming your way. And has come your way. He sent his messengers. He says, go ye down on earth, all of you, from here, henceforth, there shall come to you guidance from me now and again. Whoever will follow it shall have neither fear nor sorrow. And whoever will refuse to accept it, defy our signs and revelations, they shall be doomed to the fire of hell. Wherein it says they will remain. You can read this. Read it in Surah 2, Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat 38. And they shall remain forever. In Surah Araf, the same thing is repeated. O you children of Adam, whenever there comes to you messengers from amongst yourselves and recite to you my signs and revelations, whoever acts righteously and refrains from disobedience and mends his ways, he shall have no cause of fear nor sorrow. As for those who treat our signs and revelations as false and show pride and regard to them, they shall be the dwellers of hell. And you can read it for yourself in Surah 7. And these verses clearly describe the final end of both parties. Those who accept the ways of Allah and submit it their entire life system, adopt righteousness, adopt taqwa in their lives and mend their evil and crooked ways. Allah is most merciful. Mend their evil and crooked ways and practice justice. They will enjoy all the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in paradise. And will have absolutely no fear or sorrow of any kind to disturb their life of bliss, while those who disobey and reject Allah's messengers and his guidance and adopt evil ways in their life, a happy and peaceful end for the doers of good, and a life of misery for those who reject Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's right way and follow wrong and unjust ways of life of their own free will. All these rewards and punishments are reasonable because of man's moral responsibility for adopting a certain good or bad way of life after due cause and warning has been given him by the messengers of Allah. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and keep us safe and grant us a goodly life here in this life and in the hereafter and protect us from the torment of the hellfire. God come to Salam.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salat, hayya ala salat, qad qamatu salat, qad qamatu salat. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah.